Remove the video. Sorry. All right. I'm going to read a little something. Welcome to the program, everybody. Welcome to Transhuman Crossroads, a podcast about the blurring line between man and machine. This is episode 1, Anthropotechnotheism. Humanity and human society is going through a tectonic technological transformation. Many believe, as do I, that a transhuman future is dawning. Transhumanism has different meaning to different people. For some, it promises a hopeful future, to live beyond pain, suffering, and death. To others, it sounds like a sci-fi nightmare dystopia. Transhumanism can be clearly seen developing in all areas of human life, from the social, political, and financial system to the philosophical, spiritual, and psychological, and of course, the medical, biological, and mechanical. We are becoming cyborg in real time, in my opinion. Our post-human society, our postmodern society rather, has become post-human, which is a nihilist society. We're seeing it today all around us, and it is rapidly transforming into the age of the cyborg, the technocrat, global surveillance panopticon, robot girlfriends, brain chips, mRNA, and very soon 6G, which is the Internet of Bodies and Things, or the Internet of your soul. On today's first episode of Transhuman Crossroads, I will talk with my friend Andre Meloche. He is a writer, satirist, philosopher, and political commentator who hails from Quebec. Thank you for joining me today, Andre. How are you?
I'm fine. It's always a pleasure to have those discussions because transhumanism is a topic that I've been studying since many years.
Yeah. You're ahead of the curve. Let's talk about this term, Anthropotechnotheism. I've gotten used to it since I've practiced it. Have you heard of this term? I have a definition that we can get into, but I mean, and you've been thinking about it a little bit. We've talked. How can we start to unpack what this word means and get into our show today? What do you think?
Well, if you display the word again, so I can just pronounce it correctly.
Well, where is it? I'll put it on the screen here.
Anthropotechnotheism. Is that right?
One sec. Here it is.
I'm good. That's good. Anthropotechnotheism.
Yeah, I broke it down.
Anthro, it means man. Anthropo. Techno, everybody knows about what is technique. Theism, about theology. The fact that you merge the three concepts in one is fascinating because you can have the man, the technique, and God. And if you merge the three, I could say, what? It's the Trinity? It's the Christian Trinity.
The transhuman Trinity. Oh my goodness, you nailed it.
Well, I was thinking of the term because I was telling myself, they arrive with more complex term, more and more. And I have the feeling that sometimes they don't even understand the core definition of each word. Techno comes from the Greek techne, means tool, instrument. And you can associate art also, art, make a difference between art and technique. You have the artist and you have the technique of the artist, the painter, the sculptor. And then theism, which is, theology,
the belief in divine entities.
Exactly. So maybe a little bit later we will talk about astrophysics, but I think many people, they don't understand, including those group that pretends to be transhumanist. Sure. I think they are not that clever.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to by the end of this show, we're going to realize how unclever they are. So it's a new word. I think it's newly coined, and I've just heard of it myself. And I think that this word, Anthropotechnotheism, is a form of transhumanism that has been identified by the Christian leadership. And at the 2026 World Seminaries Conference that was just held in South Africa, I'm not sure why I came across this news story, but I said, well, I guess the headline said something about reverence, this global council of Christian authorities are talking about transhumanism. And I thought, well, that's interesting. But anyway, I copied and pasted the actual definition of this term. And this is going to open everything up. So let me just read this. Anthropotechnotheism is a term identified by Reverend Subbotin, he's from Russia, at the 2026 World Seminaries Conference to describe a modern ideological movement that functions as a religion without a church, closely linked with transhumanism. It represents a form of anthropotheism where the deification of humanity is pursued not through spiritual salvation, but through technological means aimed at overcoming bodily limitations, pain, and eventually achieving immortality. This ideology is characterized as a gospel of enhancement and a religious application of scientism that seeks to replace traditional theological anthropology with a postmodern belief in human self-perfection through science. That's a lot. That's a lot. Holy crap. I think they're speaking to a more of a cultural phenomenon, and I'm thinking a subconscious phenomenon. It's all around us. A sense maybe people have if you point it out to them, and maybe they're okay with it too, that the totalizing nature of technology right now, we're just going along, you know, but where does it lead? Who cares? Doesn't matter. And yeah, any thought? Are you still there? Wait,
Yes, I'm listening because
sorry, I was looking at my notes and contemplating this because it's kind of
that's okay.
It's deep shit, man. It's deep stuff, isn't it?
I would say I would have 4 remarks. I will be very brief. 4 remarks. The first one, you were referring in the definition, a modern religion without a church. They are not the first one to try this, and they will not be the last one. The other thing that I find quite funny, it is you were saying that it is a Russian reverend. Strangely, usually Russian people are either Orthodox Christian, many Russian citizens are Muslim, they can be Buddhist. They have a lot of religion in Russia. But the idea of a Russian reverend is quite ludicrous. It's quite funny. The idea also that you want to enhance man. Isn't the purpose of discovery and innovation since the beginning of time? Everybody wants to improve their life. And the other thing that I've noticed is that if you use those terms, Christianity or church or reverend, you borrow all the concept of monotheistic religion without naming them. It's like you're separating yourself from all the 3 great monotheistic religion, which is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. I will put Judaism in maybe in a different category, but anyway, the fact that there's a God and that you believe in a God. Now it's funny because it's not there's a God, it's we will become God. And it is like God does not exist. Whoa, but why do you always refer to God? But you say at the same time that God does not exist. Already they are in a contradiction. And contradiction is good. Don't get me wrong. It is good because we have to contradict ourselves and we have to challenge ourselves in our ideas to make them stronger. But up to a certain point, sometimes it seems like it is a cult, in my opinion. And suddenly you have you have people who are faithful, and if you're not faithful enough, you are excommunicated. So it's the same classical scheme of a classical religion. This is not new for me, but the term is interesting. Then you will describe more the mechanism of those systems. And don't forget. Maybe I have a question for you. Those people who attend this global conference, are they all very rich?
I'm not sure. It was a Lutherans. I'm not sure what branch of Christianity or anything about Lutheranism, but
Lutheranism, it's Protestantism.
Protestantism. Okay, yeah, I understand
Protestant.
that. I don't know. It's conference. I do have the article handy. I mean, but I'm more so interested in what they're saying, and their critique. They get into some ethical critique of transhumanism. which is a little bit of our thing, isn't it? Me and you, whenever we talk, we're talking about ethics of technology.
Ethics, exactly. Ethics toward technology. Yes.
Yeah. So one more thing about the term definition. This is good. So the term anthropotechnotheism is not a standard or widely recognized concept in academic literature yet, but it can be understood as a synthesis of anthropomorphism, which is attributing human traits to non-humans, like having sex with a robot. Technology is the second part of the term, obviously, specifically AI and robots, specifically here in this word. And then theism, of course, belief in divine entities. It likely refers to the tendency to ascribe divine or quasi-divine status, worship, or religious reverence to advanced technologies that exhibit human-like characteristics. The ethical concerns surrounding this concept intersect with debates on anthropocentrism and anthropomorphism and the ethics of technology. So that's a lot. But that's just in way of opening the box, unpacking the term. It means three different things. We get it. We're dealing with an existential, technological, transhuman crisis on Earth. That's in some fashion. Are we not? Am I off? Am I crazy, Andre?
No, you're not crazy, but there's a very, very small group of people who could even just pronounce this new concept and even more understanding all the implication of this type of concept. When you talk about anthropomorphism, the fact that we copy human behavior or copy human physiognomy, robots are like men, they always design beautiful women, I'm sorry, with big beautiful breasts, and you never see a fat person. Did you ever see a fat robot? No, it does not exist. And if you see a robot that delivers food in Moscow, they have Uber. It's not Uber, but it's similar to Uber. They have those small robots on 4 wheels deliver food. You say, okay, that's a machine. But you can imagine a robot that acts like a Uber driver, and he arrives at your door and, hi, I'm delivering your Amazon package, and I don't need this. Bring a drone. It's more convenient. I don't need to see a plastic face, because we have this tendency of trying to imitate ourselves, and we want to become God. So we have to make our creature in our own images. And then you ask yourself, but if you don't believe in God, why you use all the mechanism of God to create something that already exists?
Yeah, there's something going on with not appreciating life as it is with these people.
Yes,
that bugs me.
Exactly.
Something's off there. And we'll go through, yeah. Good.
Well, I can just add one thing. That's why I was asking, are they all wealthy or very, very rich? Because most people who are very rich, they don't work. They don't work. They have no concern about income or anxiety because they don't work. So they are in permanent leisure. That's why I think you were mentioning, the eliminating suffering and everything. They never suffer nothing. So they live in a constant hell. Everything is paradise, no contradiction, and your brain start to develop in a way that the minute you will face a contradiction or a conflict, you will just go ballistic. You will not be able to manage it. Either it is disease, conflict in your relationship. I will not talk about their relationship, but conflict in a family. You always have family conflict. They cannot sustain the contradiction. So in my opinion, if you talk about philosophy, you have to sustain contradiction. Somebody would arrive tomorrow and really prove to me that God does not exist. I would be crushed. I have two options: to believe it and to change, or to deny it and to live in a false reality. I don't think those people would accept a person like you or me to go there and challenge their idea.
Yeah, you bring up something interesting. I too am a man of faith, and if someone proved my faith wrong, that would be pretty creepy, wouldn't it? Because I've
Of course.
used that as sort of a rock your people's religion. It's a thing that they lean on in hard times, go for refuge there, and feel better about things a little bit.
Well,
Yes,
one thing that I think we were discussing this yesterday when we were preparing your show was relativism. The fact that if nothing exists outside of physics,
exactly.
we are atoms and particles.
Yeah.
You can do everything. You can do everything. Life is not important anymore. Fundamental research becomes the core value, and everybody we're guinea pig. They can just get rid of us. When I say they, people who control those systems.
I think it's a big they now. It's a big they. It's the federal government employees. It's everybody. We saw it through COVID, and we'll see it through transhumanism for sure. Whatever it
Exactly.
comes, digital ID, whatever. Everyone's talking about digital ID and 15-minute cities, blah blah blah. No, we're going a bit deeper. This shit is happening. We get it. We can
It's
see
much
it.
more deeper than
It's
that.
much more deeper. Yeah, there's a problem that we got to get to the root of if we can. So at least some of us, if possible, could proceed into the technological future and keep our human dignity and sanity with us as long as possible. But we'll get into that actually, how a few of there's 5 ethical concerns that they brought up in the article. The priests and reverends or whoever they were. They're also professors, doctors. They're like, clergy, but like academic clergy types.
You consider that it is a community?
Oh, I'm not sure about the group who they are. It's more so like they said, let's talk about transhumanism and using the Bible to critique it. And I thought this is interesting material, for this sort of a show. Let's look at the first critique. Let's see if we agree or disagree with this particular one. A critique of transhumanism or anthropotechnotheism, they're kind of the same thing. Although we'll unpack it a little more later about how it's a cultural thing in the subconscious all around us. Also, right? It's not just the transhumanists. They're bad, but we're all kind of like swimming in a soup of invisible technological arrays and stuff already, aren't we? I pick up Wi-Fi on my router from my neighbors. Anyway, we're in a technological thing. So first, ethical concern with all of this is theological anthropology and sin. The primary ethical objection is that the anthropotechnotheism attempts to solve the human condition through technology rather than addressing the reality of sin. The Russian reverend, he argues that this ideology ignores the corruption of human understanding and decision-making caused by sin, suffering, offering a salvation from bodily limitations instead of salvation from sin. One last sentence before I hand it over. This creates a false soteriology, which is the study of salvation, where technology replaces divine grace, leading to spiritual emptiness, masked as progress. There's a few things we could talk about there in that first critique of this transhumanist bullshit. Do you have anything to say at this point? I could ask you a direct question, but there's stuff I want to get into about this.
Well, one remark I would make is if you don't have any energy and power, everything will collapse. While man needs food, transhumanists will need energy. We need energy too, but in a sense of electrical energy. You go outside and you go and contemplate the sky, and it is a sunny day. It is warm. You feel it. You are enhanced already. How they will enhance themselves through technology? Okay, I can understand that you can have a smartwatch, or it can help you, or you take a vitamin and supplement to help you. Those are molecules that are manufactured or fabricated in a laboratory. I understand that. But up to a certain point, if you completely disconnect yourself from nature, God created nature. If we say God created nature, or nature was created, we live in it. And this is not new. They want to disconnect themselves completely from nature because they're afraid of it. That would be my first remark.
Yeah. Well, something that, yeah, go ahead.
I understand that. Sometimes nature is quite frightening.
Well, at night, when I go out at night, like last night, I forgot to put my chickens in. Oh my God. And we got predators. And I was in bed and my wife was like, did you put the chickens in? And it was dark for the first time ever. We've had chickens for about a year and I've always closed the door, took care of them, but we had a busy day. Community meeting, which is from with our neighbors about some issues going on around here. One being a bear. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So we were out late and I ran out and I closed the door. Why did I bring that up? Sorry.
No, it's because you were talking. I was saying that nature sometimes it can.
Right. I was like, why am I talking about this? Okay, right. Yeah, sure.
So
and I was
sorry.
like, I better turn the light on and get a flashlight. Yeah, sure. Nature's scary. I get it, but
Well, it's scary also because we have a great imagination. So sometimes we imagine things that do not exist.
yeah. Okay. I think nature is absolutely wonderful. And I think this human body that God has given me is just fine. Maybe not perfect. Of course not. Nobody has a perfect anything. Well, the transhumanists would like to develop something perfect, I think. They can go to hell.
Well, maybe the soul is perfect. Maybe we'll talk about the soul later.
Yeah, let's move on a little bit. Let's see. What do we got here? I'll quote again one of those. There's many speakers who spoke on transhumanism, 3 of them. I won't mention who. I'm just going to say what they said, these people. The problem with transhumanism is that it fails to take seriously the reality of human sin. Sin came into the world and entered into the entirety of human flesh, noted one speaker, corrupting man's decisions, understanding, knowledge, beliefs, in addition to his body. And sin brought with it the dragon, death, and this dragon is merciless. It will find a way to destroy the future cybernetic world. I love this guy. I want to get him on the podcast. Do you have any comment?
Well, Saint Michael killing the dragons. First of all,
that's what he's quoting there?
I was listening, and it made me think of Saint Michael. But the other thing is trying to change nature. My wife and I, we had a small discussion about Adam and Eve being kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And she arrived with a very interesting hypothesis. God did not kick them out. Okay, Eve gave the apple to Adam, and Adam took, and he was eating from the tree of knowledge. And then they discovered that they were new when they were kicked out. My wife, she said, there's a Russian philosopher that I like very much. He has a lot of podcasts. He was saying, God did not forbid man to discover knowledge. He forbade man to discover knowledge too fast. You eat from the tree of knowledge and you're not ready to acknowledge this discovery, you die. Sometimes you see some people, they are discovering reality and they cannot sustain it. And they are either depressed, or suicidal, or we have to be ready. Sometimes you read a book and you say, I don't understand this book. You put it aside, and 5-10 years later, you take it and you say, what? It's obvious. Why I did not understand it at the first time I was reading it was because you were not ready for it. You have to be ready for it. And the hypothesis of this philosopher was knowledge is good in time. Knowledge is good in time, meaning if you're ready to hear the truth will come to you. And that has nothing to do with technique. It's something that is related to, you were saying, suffering.
Yeah.
You suffer sometime and you realize that this is not good what you're doing. And you change your behavior. You see the light. You recognize your mistake. It's a human path. And I don't think transhumanists are very aware of this. They're, like I say, they live in their wealth and they want to create a dystopian or an utopian world where everybody will be God. Now, first of all, it's not true. It's not everybody will be God, because God is unique. We would be all part of it. If you take Christianity, you would say, okay, I'm part of God, so I am God. Is it true? I don't know. I'm not a theologian. So I would have to ask a theologian for from the three monotheistic religion. what would be your interpretation, or what would be your answer toward, are we part of God or are we God? And I would probably have three different answers.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're deep in the rabbit hole, first of all, at this moment. Holy mackerel. Do you want to read a little more, or do you want to?
Yes, go ahead.
The answer to the problem of sin and death is found only in the death and resurrection of Jesus, who has conquered the dragon. Every human being needs to be saved because all are under the same condition of sin and death. In the face of transhumanist ideology, theological educators should emphasize the teaching of correct theological anthropology, focus on pastoral care for those who are afraid of death, and embrace a theology of mission that addresses the transhumanist worldview, encouraging people to faith in the death and resurrection of Christ, for only God can give life everlasting. There's a few things in there. I like this. So at this meeting, they're also talking about missionary work. Like when they're traveling around the world teaching people Christianity, they need to begin to incorporate into their work the fact that anthropotechnotheism is in the subconscious of people, in the spiritual back of the mind of people. We see it everywhere, man. And the fact that transhumanism is not like spoken about a lot around, like I don't think it's a public kind of thing. Maybe people don't realize it. The news never talks about it, of course. The fact that it seems so serious, but so under represented, people don't talk about it. It demonstrates to me something a little creepy, because that this is the ultimate agenda of all agendas. Whatever they want to do. Yeah, go ahead.
But one thing, you talk about transhumanism. One of my essay, the Words of Revolt, I was talking about already in 2000. Well, I started writing this essay in 2014, and in 2018 I revisited it, and I put some more chapter in the essay. But in it, I was referring to transhumanism and transgenderism. And at the time, I was talking about transgenderism. Practically nobody knew what the term meant. And I was saying this is the Trojan horse of transhumanism. Already I was seeing the pattern. Today, we hear transgenderism everywhere, the gender ideology, and everybody's talking about it. Some are for it, some are against it. I'm against it. It is mutilation. No man can give birth to a child. It's not sustained by fact, so it's not quite complicated. But many people, they talk about it. If you would arrive and you would say, oh, okay, let's talk about transhumanism. You could say, if you want to understand a little bit, use the prefix trans. Trans means to go through, to change from man to women, or to change from condition from man to robot. And then you can say, what is an enhanced man? People who take steroid to compete, they are enhanced. It's not a new concept. The concept of God or semi-God, it goes back to the Greek mythology. It's always in the subconscious of man to become God or to know God. There's a big difference. If you become a God, I'm sorry, you'll have responsibility. If there's a war, what do you do? Do you intervene or not? I read a book, Hard to be a God, Boris Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, who were two science fiction writers in Soviet Union. And it is a man who comes from Earth. He goes on the planet Arkanar, and he has to observe like an historian, but he cannot intervene. So they think he's an aristocrat. He's not exactly like all people. People, they don't wash themselves. They are very, it's feudalist society, and he's a little bit disgusted. And he sees cruelty, crime, war, and he has to act like an historian. He cannot intervene. But then he falls in love with a young woman that is for him in this planet. She's very clever, and she sees him like a god. And he says, I'm not a god. I come from another. I cannot tell him that he comes from another planet. And after a certain time, he becomes very angry because he wants to intervene. But as an historian, he cannot. He has to observe but he's also a man. So the title of the novel is Hard to Be a God. At one point, he's very frustrated. He says, I'm a very bad historian. I cannot be objective, a scientist. That was written in 1973. They were already seeing the pattern of man wanting to be a god. I would say, do I want to be a god? Maybe I want to know God, but will I survive the encounter? I don't know. This is quite funny because we have this discussion today. I would like to have this discussion with those people about this. They stay in an echo chamber. If you believe in what they're saying and if you applaud their speech and you praise them, they like you. If you follow them, especially if you subscribe. I'm sorry, Elon Musk is trillionaire. I'm not having the blue check and the premium account on. Why you don't make it free for everybody? Why you don't make it free? You're trillionaire, man. What? Be serious. You want to be what? Quadrillionaire before you die? They have no limit.
Yeah.
Up to a certain point, when you have so much money, you have no limit, and your brain starts to change. You say, what if I'm a god? Solzhenitsyn in his novel First Circle, he makes Stalin speak, and it is fascinating because Stalin is saying, "Oh, I'm the great leader of the Soviet Union," blah 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 blah, and then he said, "Well, when I will die, they will not have the time to invent immortality. I will die." And then suddenly, and he's an atheist in the novel, and then suddenly he says, "But what up there? What if?" And then he starts to doubt. Because what if I die and I arrive in heaven and I have to face God? So Solzhenitsyn was laughing about people who pretend to change human nature. You have to. I'm sorry, you have to destroy nature to remove man from nature. Else, I know they're very good at it. Very good at it.
Well said. Trojan horse, you said. Transgenderism is the Trojan horse for the transhuman. Oh yeah, I think I agree with you on that. And Jennifer Bilek is a sort of an expert in that field. She's a research journalist sort of lady. She was on my old podcast. We talked about it. She just followed the money all the way, and some of the key players like Martine Rothblatt and others. The Pritzkers, and anyway, so it's all out there in the public domain, and it's worth thinking about as we go through that. Also, that's everywhere. I don't have any problem with those people. I think that they are confused and propagandized to the point of self-surgery.
Yes.
I don't know. These are weird times.
You were referring to other aspect of those movements. What are those aspects? You refer to 5 aspect or 5?
Yeah. Let's get back on track, but because the transgenderism thing really is.
Yes, that's a rabbit hole.
That's
like
a rabbit
I said,
hole.
A lot of people are talking about it. If we refer to transhumanism, it's another level of reality.
Yeah, man. And I hate to sound like a bigot because I'm not, but I have questions and very deep concerns about all that stuff. I really, really do. And especially as it's really spreads far and wide. Wow. Anyway, let's get back. Let's continue ethically criticizing transhumanism in general. So there's a gospel of enhancement and suffering. The movement promotes a gospel of enhancement that seeks to eliminate pain and suffering through any available means. Ethically, this is criticized as a modern form of the theology of glory, or a gospel of prosperity, which denies the potential redemption or formative value of suffering. By viewing suffering solely as a technological problem to be solved, it risks devaluing the human experience of vulnerability and the moral growth that often arises from overcoming limitations. I like this. I like this a lot. This is a good critique of transhumanism right here. Suffering and pain. Oh my God. Do you have any thoughts? Well, firstly, I'm thinking of SSRIs. You go to the psychologist and the psychiatrist who should not even. Psychiatry is something that the world just doesn't need, I think. We'll get rid of all that stuff someday, I hope. Either way, they're going to drug you because you're feeling a little bit sad. You know what I mean? They're going to drug you away from your God-given ability to suffer and feel pain. What do you think of this one? The gospel of enhancement and suffering.
Well, suffering, one molecule for every feeling that you have. One molecule that is fabricated by a pharmaceutical company. That's the first thing. Then I was listening to the definition or the goal that they have, eliminate suffering. The human condition, you used this expression earlier, and I can refer to the book of Hannah Arendt, the human condition. In her book, she's referring to when we will be able to travel, space traveling. We will not be called herd people anymore. Imagine you conquer Mars, and you are on Mars, and you meet a young woman there that comes from her, and she becomes pregnant. Let's say forget about the artificial womb, and you have a child. That child is Martian.
Mhm.
He's not from Earth, and he
Mhm.
cannot have. Does he have the same rule of law? Does he have the same rights? How will he survive? Because the environment is completely different. When I hear this human condition, technology changes us. We cannot say it does not. It changes our behavior. You said it yourself. It's part of our subconsciousness. The word techno or the word anthropo or the contact with robot changes us. Technology changes us. We're using technique. We're using computer. We don't communicate the same way. You and me, we're good friends, but we never met each other in reality because we are far away. Which then you say technology is phenomenal, the way we can contact with people. Go back 150 years in the past and show this to people in the past, they will be amazed. Yet you go 100 years ago, and they were saying, "Well, how come you're not flying in flying machine cars that fly for everybody?" It's coming. And sometimes you see this on the internet. They have drones, and you can pilot a drone. I'm sorry, this gadget costs $200,000.
Yeah, the air taxis, the little drone cars that fly that you can get. Yeah, that's all out there.
Exactly, it's very fascinating, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the common man will never have access to this. So the universality of their goal does not exist. If they say humanity will become immortal, which humanity are you talking about? How many people and who?
Mm.
Who will be chosen? You remember the history of the Ark. You have some Hollywood movie where there will be a great tsunami, and you have to choose people. You have to draft people, and
Right.
of course, and you understand very well that you draft people, but some people will arrive with, and they will bribe you, and they will, human condition means also corruption and sin. Let's not be naive. And those people, they are naive. They don't study theology. They don't study philosophy. And when you ask them harder question, either they look ignorant, or they're angry because you break their dreams. They have dreams of being immortal. They live in a fantasy. And of course, when you look at their leisure life, you look at the mansion, and sometimes you look at this, and I say, wow, human imagination is great, yes, but it's 0.1% who have access of this.
I think
And
that they think like I think that they think like children a little bit too.
yes, that's exactly right.
Because in preparation for this actual episode, and even my introductory short video that I made, was all giant robots and little humans. Huh?
Yes, I saw.
And I'm thinking, like, is this what they're thinking? And I think some of them actually are, that maybe they will just build giant robots to go march through cities and crush them. Just childhood, and I think that's kind of cool, right? And I was thinking, wow, they could do that. They really could. Like
They
huge,
can.
just like on Hollywood movies, like the Terminator and all that, right?
Exactly.
People are joking
that-
around, like, "Oh, we're in the Terminator world." No, we are. It's not a joke.
But
Actually, it's not a joke.
there's I'm sorry, the word is not easy to pronounce. There is an eschatological goal behind that they don't understand. If they want to create a world where immortality will exist, of course, no, it's not everybody who will be immortal. So it's again a class distinction. Some people will be chosen, some will not. And who will decide? Most probably them.
And I would say immortal for a while. What about asteroid strikes? What about
exactly
climate change? Or, whatever, right?
Whatever. And the concept of time is interesting.
Yeah, the dragon of death. See, that guy said the dragon of death will destroy the cybernetic future, and I love that because I fucking hope so. I would like the dragon of death to just come now, actually, and destroy this post-human, almost cyborg future that we are in right now. Because I do believe we're in a post-human society, full blown, and it happened real fast, like in the last 5 years. A complete shift from human to post-human, and the cyborg is just one click away.
You see many characteristic or phenomenon of a post-human world, whether it is robot that are that have human characteristic, whether it is we talk about data center, what is how we they acquire so many data and they never tell you why they're using this. The pharmaceutical company transforming man. I'm sorry, we're practically walking pharmacy.
Yeah,
people. You have to take a supplement for this. You have to take a vitamin for that. You need. You're getting older. You need to. Your cholesterol level is too high. You need to take statin. And everything that arrives, they have a medication for you. Everything.
Yeah, they've recommended so many. Man, I've turned down so many medications. A quick internet search and a quick discussion with a real healthcare professional who cares about you. My wife is a nurse. She's like, you don't need that. You don't need that either. You don't need that.
You don't need
90% of Canada. 90% of Canada are on. I think this is statin, the heart drug.
Statin.
90% are on heart drugs. Why? They told me I had. You know what? Whatever. It's bullshit. They're selling us shit. They're fake doctors selling fake people, fake medicine. That's called post-human society. Fake people,
exactly,
giving birth to fake people, teaching fake people fake things, and the whole reality is fake. That's where
that's the real definition of post-humanism. Because what you're describing is our actual reality. People, when we use this expression, first of all, they don't even know how to define humanity. So if you arrive and you say, we use the expression post-humanity, this is utopian. No, you're already in it. You are. What do you eat? All your food is transformed. You never cook. You never grow food. And even if you grow food, maybe they're spraying pesticide on your organic garden. We don't know what they're doing. And if you dare to just express those concerns, you're a conspiracy theorist. There's no debate in this sense. So that's why one other characteristic of post-humanism is the absence of debate. We cannot discuss and debate. It's out of the question. And this is where you can relate this to totalitarianism.
Yeah,
total control.
That's my main concern. And there's a silver lining. There's some things that we're going to talk about in the news currently before we end today that is good news, actually. There's pushback and there's sectarian divisions amongst these idiots up there too in the powerful places. They don't all agree on things. Some of them are blood drinking Satanists, Luciferians. Some of them are just tech bro geeks who got lucky, like Bill Gates or whoever, Sam Altman. I think there's a lot of infighting about the agenda, what's going to happen. Billionaires clashing. We'll get there. There's infighting, and that's good news.
You were mentioning, I was reading your text. Maybe I can read just one thing
Go ahead.
about dark enlightenment.
Yeah, sure.
What you were writing, and I quote you: a fringe far-right tendency known as dark transhumanism, influenced by thinkers like Nick Land, promotes a vision of technological authoritarianism where a programmer elite, quote unquote, rules over the mass, merging transhumanist goal into with anti-democratic authoritarian politics. I was shocked when I read that because I was saying it's again the same dialectic, left against right. You have socialism, capitalism, that's it. There's no debate.
Mm-hmm.
Leftist people, they don't talk to right people, and we make jokes all the time. I have a podcast with Dr. Oliver Adorn and John Paul Berg, and it's called Social Credit, and we're saying they're both completely in their echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
They hate socialists, they hate capitalism for good reason. Capitalists, they hate socialism for the same for other good reason. You say, can you discuss with each other? They cannot. They all think that they know the truth.
Yeah, they call themselves libertarians just to get away from the
Yes.
argument.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sorry,
exactly.
but libertarianism, and I'm no expert. I'm no great philosopher or political thinker, but I think libertarianism is a bit joke. I think it's a bit of a stupid ideology.
They don't take in account philosophy, theology, and they cannot. Yeah, they talk about freedom. Well, define freedom.
Yeah.
What is freedom? If we call it free will, does my free will include that I can kill my neighbor? Well, define moral law, define moral code, link this with natural law. If you want, link this to God's law. If you want, if you're a religious person, but define your term.
Yeah.
And more people are using those complex expressions without even defining them. Sometimes I catch myself using a word. I say, I don't even know the real origin of this word. Then I have to go back. I check the origin, how it was used through history, and then I tell myself, oh, okay, I was not using the right word. This is what we call epistemology. Most people, they don't know that you have to go and question your own knowledge, first of all, to make it stronger and to be able to explain it to people. If you cannot explain a concept with simple words, it's because you don't understand it.
Well, let's talk more about totalitarianism in a transhumanist way. And the Dark Enlightenment, I'm probably going to do a whole episode of this podcast, Transhuman Crossroads, on the Dark Enlightenment itself. It's not good, people. Okay, so one of these guys at the conference was speaking, and he's talking about this. The doctor began by discussing the ideology of transhumanism, suggesting that its overall promise and goal can be summarized with the term enhancement. But transhumanism's pursuit of such enhancement can cause significant collateral damages on its path to a supposedly brighter future, including, for example, the use of pressure or even law to enforce a transhumanist agenda. This is my real problem. I don't really care about robots or transgenders. I don't care. Do whatever you want with your body. Go ahead. But you know what I'm afraid of? Being forced into speaking things and thinking things. And not only that, them knowing my thoughts eventually, right? What about like an enforced brain chip? Just to get the free money so you can walk through doors without touching them, just because COVID's everywhere or whatever they come up with. Yeah, COVID was a big problem for this, I think, also for people's brains in particular, the way they think. Totalitarian transhumanism. Geez, this could go pear-shaped at any minute. We're one like war away, or one nuclear bomb in a Western city, or one pandemic away from digital ID, digital money. Oops, the economy has collapsed, everybody. We all knew it was happening, and everyone does know. Everyone's like almost waiting for the day that the economy collapses or something weird happens. And we have historical precedent, like the grapes of wrath and all that shit that happened in the United States, right? In the turn of the century. Stock market crashes. Anyway, let's say that happens again. Oh, well, there's historical precedent. People can understand it in their mind without going too crazy. Don't worry. Free money for everybody. It's digital money. Psh, take all your cash and just burn it in a fire. It's no good. I mean, we're so close to this scenario that, I mean, it's surely going to happen, don't you think? Digital money.
Well,
this is going to change everything.
Well, digital money will come also with an expiration date. If you
Oh.
save your money, if you save your token, because let's say you want to buy a house, or you want to, or you are a person who doesn't have big needs, it will just be obsolete.
Right.
Oh, you didn't you buy a gift card. They have an expiration date. Then you go and buy. You say, okay, I'm lazy. I want to give a gift to my friend for Christmas, but I don't have the time to shop, so I will buy a gift card and I will give it to him. Well, suddenly 6 months after, the gift card is invalid because there's the expiration date. You really think that they will let you accumulate money? Try to go and retrieve your money from the bank today. They will ask you 25 questions if you want.
No.
Let's say you're and it's already not your money. First of all, it's already not your money. So we bring then the concept of private property, privacy, human dignity, free speech. All those concepts are hidden behind the agenda of transhumanism. They never question those concepts because for them, they live in an utopia. Like I said, if they're very rich, they don't have those concerns. Who's speaking really all the time on media, even in alternative media? Rich people. I give a simple example. Everybody loves Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was born very rich.
Yeah.
And he was a journalist for Fox News for 20 years.
Yep.
So he was there, he had the silver spoon in his mouth. And he was, I don't say he's not intelligent. I don't say he's not clever. And I don't say he's not a good journalist.
Well, CIA
he has
agents,
some great quality.
CIA
maybe.
agents are all very smart. So Tucker Carlson is
Well,
clearly one.
So, but then you arrive, and then he leaves Fox News, and he has millions of followers. Everybody follows Tucker Carlson for what? Why? Because they want to believe in a savior. They want to believe in somebody. If you arrive and you start to criticize your audience or your fan, it doesn't work. People could read, for example, psychologically of mob and unconsciousness of the self from Sigmund Freud. You understand immediately that the charisma of the savior or the guru, if you want to use this expression, it is a direct relationship with people. Some guru, they have relationship with women, directly. He speaks to millions of women, and they all think that he speaks to them personally. That's a cult. And Tucker Carlson, in a way, is part of a group, a class. We will never be part of this class. We cannot achieve a level of celebrity, if I can use the expression, because there's a glass ceiling. There's a glass ceiling. The algorithm will not permit us to change our, even if we're very clever and intelligent. That's why I was saying earlier, those transhumanists, I think you would love to have them and have discussion with them and have the casual conversation. Most of them, I think, will not accept.
I would like to have a actual transhumanist, someone who thinks it's great. Sure, why shouldn't we live forever? Why not?
Why not?
And honestly, why not?
Here's
the question for you. Why not? Do you see any ethical concern or any reason why you would not want to live forever? You're getting a little older. You got some gray hair. Maybe you're afraid of death. You want to live forever, Andre?
Well, you know what? I told my wife this morning at breakfast before we started the podcast. I said, you know what is the burden of living forever? you have to expect that everybody around you will live forever, because if they don't, you will feel what it is to lose somebody you love. And
Mm.
after a certain, I'm sorry, I will just say that I lost 5 cats in 6 years.
Mm. Yeah.
It is, you say cats, okay, cats, okay. I loved my cat. It's, and I was telling God, I was telling myself, or God, I was saying, can you stop? Can you stop? It's
Not
too
laughing,
hard
but
for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So
Jesus.
living forever, meaning a total shift in our behavior and in our thinking. We will never think the same way.
Yeah.
You would change completely your way of thinking. But if you are poor and somebody you want to live forever, you say, yes, I want to live forever, but I don't want to be poor forever.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's why I think they have simple mind.
Yeah.
They
I think that,
don't
yeah.
ask themselves complex questions.
Yeah. If I had $1 trillion tomorrow, I would instantly not want to die, because think about it, like, wow, you could do anything. Travel the world. I'll go buy some islands and I don't know, buy a cool drum set and whatever you want. Wow,
But
change
I bet
policy, change.
but I bet you in 1 year, I bet you, they would say, shit, I miss my chicken coop in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I know.
Because you would see wonder,
Yeah.
but you would see also suffering. And sometimes you when you face this, you say, I have enough. I cannot. I understand people, for example, don't want to talk about war. They say, I cannot. I understand them.
Hmm.
They don't have the capacity to absorb the negativity of our life. That's why I tell them sometimes, okay, let's not talk about it, but look at how beautiful this the day is, the sun, and I see I have four kittens. They will be 1 year old now. I see one. He's like a rocket when he climbs in the tree. I just see him in the morning running like this, and I'm full of joy because
Yeah.
the cat goes outside. They're happy. Small detail that brings happiness.
Yeah, simple pleasures. Yeah, like, do you think a transhumanist could walk out into my garden right now, which is in full bloom, and say, "What kind of flower is that?" Take a close look. Oh, there's some insects on it. Interesting, pollinators, little ones. You know, like, one observation from becoming a gardener since 2020, because I thought the world was ending, but I got good at it and I got a great garden. The pollinators, it's not just bees. There's
It's not
dozens
just me.
of
Yes.
yeah. So it's like, oh no, the bees. It's like, don't worry about I think the bee psyop is something else worth looking into. Who cares about the bees? No, I do care. But if the bees all die, which they're not, we'll be fine. Either way,
Well, we'll be
that's my
fine. Okay, let's take a close look at what would be an enhancement. They would put the chip in your brain. You still need to eat, or they are starting already to grow brain cell in a dish, and they connect an electronic interface, and they can build what they call biological computer. The
yeah.
problem is those brain cell, how they make them go faster or slower. They use dopamine, and when they reduce the level of dopamine, the brain cell is less performant. You could say, you're torturing the brain cell. What is the limit of science? This type of experience, I wrote in one of my essay, the Frankensteinization of society. It doesn't mean that you will use, like Mary Shelley, part of human being and sew them together and try to put electrode in it. No, you will use this type of technology to enhance the speed of computer. Then the chip in the brain, if it permits you to see when you never saw before, what an incredible discovery for people who are blind. We
Yeah.
cannot just say techno is bad. It's also the ethics of this technology that does not exist practically today. And where is it concentrated? In California, the Silicon Valley? We don't hear a lot about what is being developed behind closed door.
Yeah, you know what I hear a lot about brain chips, that the people who have them now, they're great at playing video games. And I understand they're paraplegic, they've had a problem, they were healthy. Now they're in a wheelchair, they can only move their eyes and think. It must be terrible, okay? Yes.
Yes.
If we can technologically build a chip to help this man walk, okay. Go ahead. But I mean,
But
well,
human robotic should be the goal of human robotic. You know, those what they call exoskeleton.
yeah.
Somebody who has a broken spine cannot walk, and you can put a suit, and then suddenly he can walk.
Yeah.
You say, okay, it's not comfortable, or let's say it is like it's very close to the skin, and you can function like, sorry to say, this normal human being. I'm not saying that people who
Yeah,
are
sure.
invalid
Yeah.
are not normal, but I'm saying if you can enhance their life and make them more happy, there's a concept of happiness behind.
Yeah, they're selling
Are
this.
we making them more happy?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're on the marketplace. They're called mech. You just sit inside, and it's a human body robot, and you just move the levers. And so people have seen sci-fi; they get it. You just sit inside of the thing, and it's a human robot that walks around. Anyway, weird. Giant robots are already here.
let's say you have this in your kitchen and you need to wash the dishes. Does the robot will break the nice dishes that you inherit for your grandmother, and you will break all the plates every day? You know, technology is never adapted to mankind today. Technology is made for technology. It's made for technology. It's not made for mankind. And if I can refer, you know, the fact that they're disconnected from reality. We were talking earlier. If you bring this quote that I gave you about a scientist,
There it is.
The book, I'm reading a book from an astrophysicist. His name is Jean-Pierre Petit. In English, let me just remember where I put my note, because I took some note. The title of the book in English, it is Scientific Research, a Global Shipwreck. And this is the book here. It's in French. It's not translated in English, but I found a quote.
Yeah.
I found a quote that Jean-Pierre Petit is using. He's an astrophysic, and he was quoting this journalist in physics. He said, very quickly, an atmosphere of idolatry developed. You were either a string theorist, you know, there's a string theory in physics, or you weren't. The general feeling was there could only be one coherent theory to unify all of physics, and that since string theory achieved this unification on paper, it must be true. No more experiments were needed to verify theories. From now on, mathematics was sufficient to explore the law of nature. It was written by Lee Smolin, who wrote a book, Things Are Falling Apart in Physics. And Jean-Pierre Petit, in his book, is saying since 1970, physics or scientists, they are completely disconnected from experiment. They don't need experiment. They have the great mathematician. You know, they create formula. They try to analyze the universe, but they never test it. They don't have a collider. They're using computer model, and then they write a paper on computer model. The result of their computer model brings them a theory validated by mathematics, and they say this is reality. It has nothing to do with real science. They're decoupled, and I've seen this phenomenon in politics, in religion, in science, and in technology. Transhumanist people, they are not testing their model with real people. And they are not doing it for mankind. They're doing it for themselves. They want to be immortal. They're a small group.
Yeah, and they will have the hive mind. They will own the hive that our minds are all connected to, the data centers, which they already own.
They already own. And in a way, when you think of this, you say, okay, you will be God, but you will have no children.
Yeah, all knowing. God is all knowing. And they're already like, we're already almost gods, guys. We already know everything.
Well,
I mean,
it's
good God, who cares?
it's
Would you really care what someone's saying on their self, like listening to their self, recording
I
everything
I
happening? Everything's being
I
recorded. Oh my God, who cares what people are saying?
I always use this expression. We're almost God. You remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Oh,
I would say
Jesus.
we're 2 weeks away to be God. People are not aware what is happening behind closed door.
It's hard to say, man. But I mean, like, we're just on the totalitarian thing that could be creeping on the heels of all of this. The Trojan horse, transgenderism, the Trojan horse of counting your steps, which I think is a psyop that goes way back, like 10 years. Oh, counting your steps. Well, why? Anyway, that's a sidetrack. So I don't know. Imagine the enforced brain chip where even your own thoughts might not even be yours and you're not sure anymore.
Yes.
Even in the gulag, man had his own thoughts, probably at night after work. He's hungry. He's just thinking, praying to God, maybe in his prison. And even Sisyphus, who was punished by the gods for eternity to push the boulder up the mountain.
Push the boulder.
Then he pushed the boulder back down and he walked down the mountain having his own thoughts to think. So it was not a hell. What's happening to human beings on our world, is what I would call hell.
It is. You're right. It is. You were mentioning, do I want to be immortal? Well, if I'm immortal, but I'm in a world.
You're not here.
I'm not.
Immortal. Yeah, not here. Somewhere else, maybe.
The question of the self is important, and I think those people, like I say, they live in a private world. They don't experiment real life. It is not real life. It is not real life. What they're living, they're living in a ghetto. Of course, it's a huge. Some people, they have huge mansion, 3-4 private jet. They have sports car. They have everything they want, and they smile all the time. Of course, they smile all the time because they have everything. Materialistically speaking, they have everything. They never have to worry about nothing. They're already practically in a paradise, but they're afraid of the masses. They're afraid of the mob. They're afraid that they will be challenged, because if you bring knowledge to people, what do you think will happen? They will start questioning the narrative.
Yeah, and I think about Sam Altman a lot. God, what a creep. This is a man who's probably never had a girlfriend. He's probably virgin. And now he has all the power. Like, this is not good. People should earn power. Or, I don't know. Earn it. He didn't fucking earn anything. He's a geek. And then the military has risen him up. Or whoever, the government. You know what I mean? These transhumanist goofballs. They're actually a big joke. I think that they're actually jokers.
We don't rely anymore on knowledge and reason.
Mm-hmm.
We don't rely on that. It is, but I see a tendency now. The younger generation, they arrive and they look at this world, either world of control or world of manipulation, a world of corruption. They say, okay, they say to older generation, you screwed up. We will fix it. Good, fix it. And try to find strategies to change your environment. But you have to start by yourself. Do you believe in God? You don't believe in God? What do you do for your neighbor? How do you try to achieve self-sufficiency? Try to be more knowledgeable. I see a lot of young people. They are very completely lost because they don't know manual work. Okay, you can study, you can have a PhD in neuroscience and programming, but today with AI, you will not find a job.
Sorry. Yeah, and young people today, they've been on social media since they were born, and
20 years, yes.
Their brains, which were evolved for billions of years or created by God, whatever, that good old brain, that human brain that they have, is completely rewired. How can, like, my brain was getting rewired when I got on social media a couple of years ago, and And I was like, oh my God, like I had to get off of it. My wife was like, you got to stop using social media. It's making you crazy. And it was. And it's just like, so how are people even using this shit? You have to become a post-human to feel nothing other than satisfaction, rage, satisfaction and rage, or whatever you do on the internet. I don't know. Or to feel great, get lots more followers. Here we go. Everyone thinks they're Jesus now. Look at all my followers. Who the fuck cares about followers? First of all, I don't. Anyway, social media, man, it's bad. So how are these kids? They got no skills. They can't even talk and think. My goodness, this is the whole generation coming. We're in a problem. This is a problem. It really, really is.
Well,
Man.
you have many example. There was a comment on the internet that I read a couple of days ago. Somebody said, okay, he was talking about the left on the political spectrum. He was saying those people, either feminists or socialists, and says they hate the family, they don't reproduce anymore, they don't have children. He said, it's okay, they will disappear. He said the right wing, the right on the right side of the political spectrum. He said they don't procreate anymore. Let's say white. I don't believe in this type of category, but let's say they don't procreate and they will just disappear. I think I think it was a young man, and he said it's good because we will replace them with a techno-social society, a techno society. And I told myself, most probably it's exactly what you're describing. They were born in technology, they were born in social media, they live in a virtual reality. They're 20 years old, they're young, strong, and they say, okay, the older generation, we can just discard them. Forget about knowledge and wisdom. We will manage ourselves. Oh, I'm sorry, and maybe in 15, 20 years, even if you're immortal, you will face a problem. Let's say there's an asteroid coming on the planet, or let's say you have a great flood, or you have something that destroys your structure. If you don't have knowledge, what do? You will go back to the old book or the old data center or the old server that you threw away. So where did I put this knowledge so I can fix it? They want to discard the past because every generation wants to reinvent the world. This is normal.
Right.
But do you destroy the past to do it?
There you go.
And they think that they can live and all their technology will save them. Sorry, if you don't have electricity, my man, your server is down. Down.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
I was saying many years ago when Wikipedia does not work, your IQ goes down 70%. It's a joke, but also it's not necessarily wrong because, for example, I take this book and before the show, I go on the Google translation and I translate because I didn't know the word shipwreck in English. So I have to go. I said, your viewers are English, so I have to know that. So technology helps me, but if I do this live in my living room with you, and we have some friends, I will have to say, how do you say, David, when a ship goes down? You will say, Andre, it's a shipwreck.
Right.
Technology, dictionaries, everything that surrounds us is our tools. Sure.
And and my thing with my obsession, clearly with transhumanism, I don't got a problem with crutches, eyeglasses. This is not transhumanism as I'm thinking of it.
No.
As I'm thinking of, like, for example, let's go back to my notes, because, when I think transhumanism, I think things like this. Transhumanism must be perceived both as a mimicry and as a fundamental reversal of God's work in creation, salvation, and consummation as revealed in scriptures. Transhumanism teaches a constructive postmodernism in which man is not passively receiving divine gifts in creation, salvation, and eschatological consummation, but is the active agent of his own self-realization. Okay, we got to talk about this. So hopefully everybody understood what I read there, because I butchered some of those large words. Let's talk about this a little. Man's is this active agent in his own self-realization. Well, you know this about me, Andre. I'm a Buddhist. I'm not Christian. I'm Buddhist. And unfortunately, I think the transhumanists and we agree a little bit, hopefully not too much on this one. But there's some truth to it too, even for the Christian. You have to realize what grace, being full of spirit through self-inquiry, self-work, read the Bible and then understand it, right? Do you have any comment on it? I mean, we're not going to deviate into this whole, we're looking at the Christian critique of transhumanism today. But when I read that, I thought, oh no, I might agree with something that they're doing.
Well, it's not bad in itself when you agree with some good ideas. But one thing that you mentioned in this quote is that they want to reverse history. They want to reverse what God created. There's a concept in the Talmud which is called tikkun olam. Tikkun olam, it is a concept that pretends that the world was not created perfect and we have to repair it. And we have to go back before the scripture, erase or analyze what went wrong in God's creation, if you want, and we will repair it. That's the first concern. The second concern is you were talking about. Man will exercise his will or in action. That's Lutheranism. My will. That's Protestantism. Compared to Catholicism, for example, which would be free will. God gave us free will, meaning the right to choose between good and evil. Good, am I allowed to rob? Am I allowed to steal? Am I allowed to kill? No. Evil, am I allowed to help other people? Yes. Then you can complexify the equation. You have two systems that are competing. You were saying earlier that transhumanists, it's not a monolithic movement. You see the same dissensions in Christianity, in Islam, in Judaism. You see the same, and all those branches of those three monotheist religions. And even you remember when we did the series on Buddhism, you were saying that there were many branches.
Yeah.
So there's no consensus, and thank God there's no consensus, because it brings dialogue and discussion, contradiction, and then you can ask, well, okay, I disagree with you, but you made me think of something. I will think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will change my view on something. If you arrive with a monotheistic view or a totalitarian view, there's no opposition. There will always be opposition. It will just be underground. It will not be expressed. Mm-hmm. And the experience of Soviet Union it's a good illustration of what's happening. People were having conversation against the regime. They were just not spying on them, and they were very careful what they were saying, to who they were saying it.
Yeah.
Today, maybe with technology, they will read our brain before we even think about criticizing the system. That's a concern.
Yeah. That's great segue, because that's the next thing I was going to kind of bring up. And I find that the smart watch keeps coming to mind through all of this stuff, because this seems to be like a real indicator to me of something very creepy, first of all, because the pulse in your wrist is very strong. Just might as well be on your heart, this thing. Huh? Too close to the heart, this stuff. So I would like to quote somebody, a creep from the WEF, Yuval Noah Harari.
Harari.
Yeah. Let's talk about this guy for a sec, and about the smartwatch and the knowing your thoughts and all this. So he, on an interview, I tried to find the actual video, but I can't look at his face. It's the weekend. It's a sunny day. I can't look at this motherfucker today. Okay, I don't like this guy.
I do agree with you.
Okay, good. He was saying that imagine a society like North Korea, where somebody walks into a room and they're wearing a smartwatch or a wristband or something around their wrist, whatever, that can read their pulse. They look at a picture of the dictator on the wall, and they feel a sense of love. Maybe they feel a sense of he's the great leader. Maybe they feel a sense of that they don't like him, that he's evil, that they're very uncomfortable with the regime. Somewhere, a data ping is going to happen, and that man will disappear.
Yeah.
Okay? Yuval Noah Harari says this with happiness in his eyes.
First
He's
of
a
all,
transhumanist.
well, he's a transhumanist. I'm sorry, he's gay and he's Jew, and he lives in Israel, and he's not an historian. I would advise your viewer to read Logos Rising and Ultimate Reality from Michael Jones. He has one chapter, a very long chapter, on Yuval Noah Harari and his
really?
book Sapiens, and he's deconstructing all argument of Harari with a click of his hand. Harari has no credibility whatsoever theologically and I would say philosophically.
He's the Fauci.
He's an historian
Yeah.
who teaches in Tel Aviv. He's an historian, and he has no credibility in the academic community. He has no credibility. Nobody reads Harari, except you go on Amazon and you see, oh, it's a bestseller. He's sold 60 million people. I can buy an algorithm tomorrow, go on Amazon and publish with auto edition one of my essay. And if I have enough money, I can pretend that I sold 1 million copy. Michael Jones read his essay. Thank God, I always say to Dr. Jones, he's one of my good friends. I said, Dr. Jones, thank you. You read it. I don't have to read this crap. You read it for me. And he did a wonderful job of destroying all the arguments of Harari. That's why he's weak. He's weak. He cannot have any contradictors. Nobody would even debate and discuss with him. Me, I would take the book of Jones, put it to my side, and I would have a debate with Harari, and he would just melt down. They are not intellectual. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a theologian. I know my limit. Harari thinks he has no limits, but this is a characteristic that many people have. Like I said, I don't know his wealth. I don't know, but I can guarantee you that if he's promoted by people, it's because he complies and he does not have any real contradictor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've studied it a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like you. I don't want to watch him on weekends.
No. It would ruin my day. Yeah, I would not want to debate anyone really on anything, really. I don't think I would be good at it.
I disagree with you. You would be good because you're honest. You try to seek the truth and not pretending that you're exposing ideas. We have those discussions. You're exposing ideas and you bring those ideas that makes me think. This is what is important.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fascinating stuff. I mean, but I follow
exactly. Exactly. That's why I advise people, Transhuman Crossroads, please follow, because it's always fascinating to see how you prepare your show. You bring topics that most people are not aware of.
Well, I don't think anyone has heard of this word because it's brand new, and I just heard of it. And this meeting was last week, and I was like, okay. For a first episode, I was contemplating a new podcast. I knew it was going to be all just transhumanism only. And then I came across that in the media, and I was like, whoa, okay, perfect. The planets aligned perfectly for this. And
Yes.
you're the perfect guest because you've been thinking about this you're ahead of the curve. Let's talk about hubris. Speaking of Harari, hubris. Hubris is a term we've discussed in the past, you and I, pertaining to the elites driving this technological future. The ending of suffering, yeah, sure. This is hubris. And as a religious man, I think this is a goddamn joke. This is stupid. Are these smart people? Like, they understand computers. No. They understand computers. Who gives a fuck about computers? First of all, that's not life. Computers. This is ridiculous. Well, I guess I don't know. Hubris.
Well, they're not leaders. Going to refer to Donald Trump, but if we stick to transhumanist people, they want to be loved.
Do they?
but money can't buy me love. And
Uh-huh.
you listen to them, and their hubris
Yeah, it's weird.
also, it illustrates their ignorance. I was in the essay that I was talking about sharing, not sharing knowledge, but the words of revolt. I was referring to the concept, the concept of people, the people. People in French, they use this often. People meaning very rich people. The ruling class and the elite and blah blah blah. And those people, first of all, they don't know how to express themselves. They are very contempt toward language. They have millions of fans. They love them, but they despise their fans. They like their money, but they despise their fans. They want to control them. They act like gurus. They live in they can sign autograph, but don't come too close. They have 25 bodyguard around them. And again, I refer to the book of Sigmund Freud and Gustave Le Bon, Psychology of Mass. They use this charisma to attract people and money. They concentrate the wealth on the top. They're not intelligent. They're not intelligent because intelligence is not there. Intelligent could be, for example, you would say intelligent. They are in university. No, they're not. They're not. Intelligence is not there. It's another caste. It's another echo chamber. Academics, they stay between each other. They never get out of their university. They write articles that only their peers read. Nobody reads them. It's always the same structure that is concentrated. Hubris. There's a scandal now. I think it is a young teacher. I think he was in Cambridge, and he's a PhD in I think it's in philosophy. Now they discovered that he copied. He copied his tale was fabricated. His thesis was fabricated, and he decided to resign because of the political pressure. But even the academy named him a senior fellow teacher. I think he's 26 years old. He's a but the man is black. The man is black, and you cannot say nothing, because as soon as you will criticize him, or you're a racist. Sure. Sorry, where's the critical thinking? Where's the criteria of selection? Is that man competent? He's not. He's not. But he's arriving at a position where he has authority. And this is very dangerous, because an incompetent person will become authoritarian. A real leader will surround himself with great people, thinkers who will not tell him what he wants to hear. He wants to hear reality. Boss, the ship is sinking. What do we do? A real leader would say, okay, put down the save the life boat and do this and do that, but tell me the truth so we can be efficient. And I don't see great leaders actually politically, but even in the academy, the academic world, there's no great leader. That's why I'm shocked, because when I'm reading Jean-Pierre Petit, he discovered he's one of the person who was working on the hypersonic concept. And in 1965 or 67, he's quite old, he's 76, 77, very funny man. And he said he wanted to propose this to the French government. They refused. He's a lunatic. He believes in the aliens and everything. But then suddenly, Soviet Union people, scientists, started to approach him. So he worked with them. So you arrive at a point and you look at the people, the leaders of the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, Larry Fink with BlackRock. Those people are not intelligent. They're evil. And yes, to relate to your word, hubris, they think that they can do everything and they can get away with it because they have power and money.
Yeah, our friend W.D. James from Kentucky, he's a philosophy teacher, and we've had him on our show. He said something that paradise is always a garden. When you think about paradise, it's always a garden. not on robots and skyscrapers. And I thought, that is so smart. Obvious, but smart. These people are
Yes.
trying to build a utopia with robots and skyscrapers. It shows their stupidity. I'm sorry.
Yes, and I remember in 2009, I was hearing audio podcast, and there was an architect. His name is David Orbach, and he was talking about the dystopian world that was coming. That was 17 years ago, and he was talking about nomadism, how they were using container to build houses. And the idea of a container is to transport material. So you treat men like goods. And you were referring earlier to the Internet of Things.
Hmm.
You treat people like goods that you can dispose of, and you can displace them. And he was also talking about skyscraper. Those people, they live very, very high in the hierarchy of mankind, and they never touched the ground. They don't live in a paradise. The suspended garden of Babylon, they are suspended, but they have roots. You have some very beautiful painting where you see roots are feeding food to the garden, because the garden is suspended. And we see sometimes some beautiful tree they have. There's a equilibrium, a balance between land and God, or man and God. You need this balance. They don't have this balance, in my opinion.
Yeah, all this started so long ago, this kind of way of thinking. I think I've been thinking a lot about cities lately, and the evolution of cities across the world. And people were spread out at one time, covering the land. Everyone had some space. Everybody had probably a little garden, knowledge also about how to do a garden. Everyone had a pig and a goat, whatever, And I think that was probably the best of a utopia we could probably ever have. A little bit of dirt under your fingernail, okay. You're dealing with the weather, destroying your crops, okay. It's not great, but it's not perfection either. It's not goddamn perfection. These people are insane. There's no such thing as perfection. Don't they understand? They don't understand.
Well, I think there are two conceptions that are opposing each other. Conception of perfection, which God created the world perfect, and we are not perfect, and we're trying to make it better, improve it with technology, with knowledge, with discovery, with great scientist, or great philosopher, great writer, great economist, whatever, great doctor, great artist. When they perform on stage sometimes, and you're a musician, you know how it is when you perform in front of people, and people, they feel your energy. They like your music, they like the energy, and this is incredible. Those people, they are, like you said, I think they're disconnect, and they surround themselves with people who look like them. They cannot accept contradiction.
Yeah, we've been talking, Andre, for an hour and a half. Let me run through quickly some of these notes, but we'll continue if you have time. But let me just read a few things. I'll hand it back to you, and we'll see how we are, because I do want to get through all of this. I want to do a good job here, put in the extra effort. So let me just read something. So just to continuing the ethical concerns brought up by the Christians about the transhumanists, Anthropotechnotheism and the deification of humans and hubris. So transhumanism is characterized by the temptation to be like the gods, referencing Genesis and pursuing deification through technological mastery rather than divine relationship. We've been talking about that. This hubris raises ethical concerns about, firstly, human dignity. Reducing the human person to a set of upgradable components threatens the inherent sacredness and dignity of the human body. And here, transgenderism, I guess, comes to mind as well. Teaching children that they don't have the correct body. And first of all, if you're a man and you believe you are a woman, okay. Maybe, can't that just be okay? You're going to become you're going to go to the surgical gulag forever. You start to cut off your body parts that it's not even in natural science to even do these things. Then you'll be on drugs forever. You have infections after infections. I mean, my God, okay. Sometimes maybe it works. And then that person's happy. And everything's working. Everything's great. Okay, good. Keep it out of the fucking elementary school. Okay? Fine. That's my statement. Next. So anthropocentrism is also a concern with all this hubris and stuff, which it reinforces harmful human exceptionalism, where humanity claims dominion over nature and its own biology without moral restraint. So here, more concerns about totalitarianism, whatever. Normalizing brain chips to play your stupid video games before they click a switch and you're all slaves to the hive mind. Stuff like concerns like that are very real today, I think. So, hubris versus humility, pretty obvious. These are not people filled with humility, probably, at all. Appreciation of a simple flower, like we described. I think that they'd be like, I don't know, how can I 3D print this fucking garden? Yeah, it's just like, so, yeah. So it's a death cult. They want to become gods. They want to do this, that. They're a death cult, and big names like Harari. There's many podcasts out there, according to the thing. Millions of people are listening. Neil deGrasse Tyson, many other famous transhumanists who I wouldn't say they're famous, but they're out there. Billionaires with transhumanists with podcasts. They're out there, man. And I've listened to some of them. They're insane. They're giddy as schoolgirls about all this stuff, about how robots and sex and humans will never have to work again. And we're going to have life extension technology. It's right around the corner. They're passionate about this stuff. You understand, people? That's why they freak me out. They're fucking serious. And then, so here's the final thing. And then I'll hand it back to you maybe for something, because this is a good one. So one of the core concerns by the reverends around transhumanism is this: messianism and determinism. Critics describe the ideology as possessing a determinant messianism, placing unwavering faith in a predetermined future, such as a singularity, where technology will inevitably solve all human problems. This dogmatic faith in a technological utopia can lead to a few things. One, uncritical acceptance, a lack of scrutiny regarding the risks of emerging technologies. Here's a quick list, and I'll throw it over to you. I just wrote these down myself. mRNA, 6G, biometrics, surveillance panopticon, flock cameras, data centers, widespread video camera use. Do you have any thoughts about all this shit I've just read? I mean, it's just more of the same. I'm just, repeating myself here.
No, the description and the enumeration of is quite accurate. One thing, if you don't have contradiction, the idea will decay and die. So you don't have this type of concept in science, which is consensus. There's no such thing of a consensus. It's what we call dissensus. People, they criticize each other. I have a hypothesis, I do an experiment, I have a theory, and I give it to my colleague and says, test it. If you destroy it, I was wrong. If it works, we are two to believe in it, or we are two to enforce this. And this is one thing that people, if they want to read, the one very fascinating book is what is this thing called Science, right, by Alan F. Chalmers. It's a small book, 200 pages, describe all the scientific method. There's one scientific method, but all the Karl Popper, what is inductivism, falsificationism, which is, for example, you're a world boxer, champion boxer, and you have challengers. They come and challenge you. The more you win, the more you're good. But one day you start to grow old, and you start to choose your challenger because you don't want to lose. You don't want to. So one day, if you're not strong enough, somebody will just take your place. That's the first thing. You were talking about transgenderism, and I wrote this in my essay in 2018. Let's say we talk about Buddhism. If you believe in reincarnation, for example, it means that if you think that you were born in the wrong body, it's because you made a bad choice before. You should ask yourself why you were born in the wrong body. And if you're not born in the wrong body, or if you're not a Buddhist, let's say you're an atheist and you're born, how come you know that you are in the wrong body? Because somebody told you?
Yeah.
Because you look around you and you see, it's like a man. He sees girls. and he's afraid of being a man, so he will pretend to be a woman. So he will do everything he can to be a woman. But I'm sorry, you will never be a woman. You'll never give birth to a child.
Yeah,
Never.
they're really terrible caricatures of women too. They all talk like they're big sluts, and they dress like old sluts, okay? And they look disgusting, okay? This is deranged.
Well,
All of it.
it's psychological problem, and transgenderism, gender dysphoria, is in the American Psychiatry Association book, the DMS-5. And you arrive and you ask yourself, but why they're pushing this? Like you said, if you're an adult and you want to do something like this, there's a dystopian, there's a disease behind, or a mental disorder, because it's like people, they are covered in tattoo, or they start to mutilate themselves, and they have no other issue. In my essay, The Word of Revolt, I was talking about people who mutilate themselves because they use themselves as a palimpsest. In French, palimpsest it's an old piece of manuscript that you scrape so you can rewrite another thing. When paper were very expensive, you were scratching the ink and reusing the same material again and again and again. Today, paper is disposable. But the palimpsest is, your body is a palimpsest, and you write on your body the story of your life. People, they have tattoo, and it is funny because people who do tattoo, one of my friends, he said, one day I want to go have a tattoo on my body, and it is written, I love you, my girlfriend, blah blah blah. But he wanted to reverse the text. And the tattooer said, no, I don't do this. It's not supposed to be a message outside. It's supposed to be for you. And the idea was, you express something on your body, but what if you're covered with it? Where do you usually you go and you buy more paper and you write more? No, they have to scratch it. They have to remove it. Most people, they don't have a very elaborate vocabulary, so they need to use a tattoo to express something, which I don't deny the fact. But the idea is, maybe you make more effort on your vocabulary and language to express yourself than hurting yourself, having tattoo. Or some people are mutilated. You ask, are you happy?
I
And
wonder that too.
most of them, they don't look happy.
Yeah, it's funny though. So many police officers are covered with tattoos today. It's interesting. Yeah, tattoos. Everyone's got a lot of tattoos. I have one. Costs $500, but it's a religious thing. It
That's
means
another
something
question.
to me
It's
personally, right?
very expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, and it took a long time, and I did not want to get another one. Although I have a tramp stamp. I got that when I was a teenager. Tramp stamp.
But I was saying, and it is not a critic, it's an observation. Let's say a young woman, she's 25 years old, she has 2 children. She left her boyfriend because of and then she struggles to buy food for children, but she's covered in tattoo. You say, wait, maybe you spent $20,000 on tattoo. Why you did this?
I always wonder that when I see criminals. Like, I watch a lot of real crime and people getting arrested, and body cameras and stuff. All the junkies are covered in tattoos, and I think, I can't even, in my whole life I've wanted
It's
a lot of tattoos.
expensive.
I could never afford them. Whereas people,
yes. So you have this idea of the compliance with the ideology at the time, and you have this idea of trying to express yourself, which is okay. You express yourself in a society, but up to a certain point, we go back to what you were saying, the will. I impose my will on other. I never wanted to impose my will on other. For example, I would say, yes, I want to be loved, and yes, I want to love. But if by loving somebody is attaching the person, this is not love. This is dependency. And I'm sorry, I can be controversial, but we're all junkies in a way, because we are stuck in this fake reality. And they always say, if you're sick, you have to heal yourself. I think man is not sick. I think most men are not sick. They're beautiful. Men and women, they're beautiful. They're incredible. If you give them enough space to flourish,
Hmm.
like you were saying, a small house, small garden, some animals, and you're in contact with nature,
Oh
you
yeah.
change completely.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely.
It gives you something to do all the time. I got chores piling up minute by minute by doing this podcast right now.
Yes.
But it's great to have daily routine, right? Routines are good for people. Not the
Yes.
routine of doom scrolling on the media all day, then taking the bus to work to another computer. I mean, God bless you if that's your job and you're doing okay. It would kill me. Um, we should try to get towards a wrap up. I got so many notes, but I think that a lot of my notes are really just repeating the same thing. I think that we've really laid it out quite well, really.
Well, trying, like you were saying, trying to explain the mechanism of a postmodern, a post-human world. I
Mhm.
think that's what we're trying to do. Giving
Sure.
some example, using the vocabulary of transhumanist or transhumanism to understand and try to explain it, so
Mhm.
people will not see it as like a big boogeyman. Showing where it can be interesting. Technology could be extraordinary if we know how to use it. Not, I would not say it properly, but if the means and the goals with ethics are
Yeah.
to make people more happy
Yeah. Well,
or happy.
Heidegger. Yeah, our friend Heidegger, me and you, we love Heidegger and we've talked about it. How he refers to these technological situations where they're referring to people as a standing reserve, as items to technologically enhance. We've been talking about the whole time. He pointed that out 100 years ago. How people will become standing reserve, just items to be harvested whenever.
Yeah.
So the technological future we are in and what is coming, his advice, I think, would be to stay alert, realize the danger. Something weird's happening, but so proceed cautiously. So I like
Hmm.
that. I love Heidegger. Thank you, Heidegger, for that wisdom. And that's really all
He
you can
was
do, isn't it? But
he was a
you
great.
can, let's wrap up on eugenics because I got to tell you something. There's a dark side to all of this. And when I hear words like enhancement, improvement, the hive mind, the master class, the robot gods, and all this weird stuff, it's a real milieu, and all run by creeps. Eugenics and depopulation, unfortunately, do come to mind here. Is that really what all of this is about? Get rid of some people also
I
somehow through
think
all of
so.
this?
I think I'm working on something. A pyramid, and you put at the top the main goal, and then you have all those strategies. When you think about eugenics, Malthusianism, depopulation, we're too many people on the planet, man is cancer for the planet. uh, it always comes from the ruling class. It always comes from them. They induce those ideas in people, and people are weaponized and used against each other. There are some great eugenist people. You have the father of Bill Gates was a eugenist. Georges Bernard Shaw, which is a writer that I love, was a eugenist. And in one small video, it was an archive that I discovered. He's saying, "Oh, every 7 years, a man will come in front of a tribunal and will have to justify his life."
God.
That's the trial of Franz
Wow.
Kafka. And you hear this and you say, "Well, he's a writer. Do you?" I'm a writer, so I say, "Don't believe what writers say or do." But when I was looking at this, and now after that, I started to understand his play, because I read a lot Georges Bernard Shaw, and I started to understand what was behind what he did not say in his play or in his books. And you have some eugenists like this who really think that they can control life. And
Hmm.
there's a God complex in this. If they are able to control life, decide who's dying and who's living, which is like the emperor or the tyrant. The thumb up with Facebook, huh? You have the thumb down. That means you ask the crowd, does he live or does he die? The
Yeah.
tyrant does not take the decision. He asks the mob or the crowd,
Oh,
you
Jesus.
decide.
Oh,
And this
God.
is where he doesn't have any accountability, because he says, me, I'm not responsible. It's the choice of the people. But it's
Mhm.
you who has the power, and it's you who raise the thumb, not the crowd.
You remind
So
me of, you
in a
remind
sense,
me,
you
go ahead, go ahead.
I will just end on that.
Yeah.
Eugenists, they have this God complex because they don't have God in their heart, and they deny natural law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been contemplating this idea of being full of spirit. It's a bit of a Christian sort of term, right? Being full of
Yes, I
the spirit,
suppose.
being full of the spirit. It's not so much a Buddhist thing, but I've been really thinking about that a lot lately, because I just had Lyme disease and I was bedridden and depressed and fucked up bad from Lyme disease, and I've just come through it, and I'm back to my old self, and oh, dude, it's like I feel full of fucking spirit to have my life back, because it was destroyed, and no one knew why. That's a sidetrack, but in a way, it relates, because that disease, Lyme disease, felt like a soul destroyer, like beyond just my physical health. I felt darkness, doom, and nihilism very deeply.
Did you, when because you say, we can refer to suffering,
Mm.
when you discovered this, did you feel something else? You say you're so dark,
Mm.
but it forced you to go deep in you.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is where you start to be in contact with your soul. I don't say you have to suffer to be in contact with your soul,
No,
but I
no.
say suffering can help you.
Well, there's a saying:
Oh,
you don't realize what you have until it's gone. When you're sick
okay.
and bedridden, and then you have a miraculous recovery back to complete normal. I feel younger than I used to be, because I've been
Mm.
taking all these herbal anti-parasitic stuff and herbal cleansing stuff too, on top of the doctor's antibiotics. So I think all these other herbs have just like cleaned me out, like liver cleanse and all that. I've never done that stuff in my life. So
Mhm.
I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel full of good vibes.
Good, but that's this is why I refer to suffering, because
Hmm.
up to a certain point, if you eliminate suffering, does
Yeah,
does that mean that we will never catch anything anymore?
yeah. And if I didn't suffer that bad for like 6 months, I wouldn't feel maybe so great. Anyway, I'm
Yes, and
thinking
this
when you were
is
go ahead, go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, well, while you were speaking earlier on totalitarianism and the crowd, should we kill him? The thumbs down of the emperor, thumb up or thumb down, whatever, kill him. I was thinking about being called anti-vaxxer by my government, by my friends, family, by the media, by everybody, by the whole world. And now I'm thinking, will there come a time when they call me an anti-hacker, where I refuse to plug my brain into my goddamn computer? Maybe they will do it again to us. They will whip Canada up into a totalitarian frenzy overnight by the use of the goddamn media. And transhumanism is also guilty here of the news media, confusing people very deeply through a screen. This is also transhumanism. There's a cultural
Yes,
part. There's a cultural part, not just a spiritual part, isn't there?
you are right. You are right. And when you refer to they will do it again, I tell myself all the time, prepare yourself so
Yeah,
you will not be afraid.
yeah, yeah.
What is difficult? And we have a certain difference of ages. I'm 66, you're what, 47, 48, something like
Mhm.
this. It's not just a question of generation. How much time will I have to live in a totalitarian regime? Imagine
Mhm.
you're 20 years old and you are witnessing this type of dystopian world, and you say I have a life expectancy of 60 years. It is quite long. Why I say this, I refer always to Tolstoy in War and Peace. Pierre Bezouvov is facing a firing squad. He's
Mhm.
about to be shot. And he always struggled in his life. He married a beautiful woman, he's from the aristocracy, but he's never happy. And he's always trying to find answers and suddenly facing the firing squad, he finds faith and he tells himself, you can kill me, you can torture me, you can do everything, but you cannot do nothing against my soul. So he was able to, and then after that he saved, they stopped, they did not shot him, and his behavior changed completely. Not because he found faith, because he was telling himself, I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
You can be, I'm sorry, I will be diplomatic. You can decide to be an atheist and not be afraid. There's nothing wrong against this. Nothing wrong against saying, I don't believe in God. It's a choice, and for many reasons. But I'm not afraid of you. So I'm not afraid of the government, meaning I'm not afraid to die. I'm a good person. So you stand against tyranny because they play only on one thing: fear. Two: fear and compliance.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid, you will comply. If you're not, I don't say. And I will end on this. Am I a courageous man? Well, if I face a man who puts a gun on my head, this is when I will see I'm courageous. Before that, I pretend. If you're facing a very, very hard threat, this is where you will see your true nature. I think I'm a faithful man. I think God helps me be courageous. And I think it's maybe that's a message for people. Don't be afraid.
Well, they say, being full of spirit is also like armor, the armor of God, or whatever, or something.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, I think so.
I like that. That's kind of interesting. So in Canada here, we reached the 7th stage of genocide, which there are 10 stages. And anybody can look that up for themselves. Many people have through the COVID era. The first stage, just call them anti-vax, call them bad names, whatever. Refer to them as parasites and all this stuff. They were starting to talk to make names for us. We're dirty. The Jews in Germany, one of the first things, they weren't allowed to work in the post office because they were touching all the mail.
Yeah, you marginalize people.
Next thing you know, they're dead. They're all dead. Okay. So I was thinking, okay, my wife's not is a nurse, not allowed to work. I'm not allowed to work in many places, restaurants and stuff, without this vaccine. So it was all happening. So we reached the 7th stage, which was the discussion about removing people from society for the betterment of everybody,
for the better good.
Yeah, not to kill them. That's the 10th stage. And then we had in Canada, the COVID hotel. Anybody who comes into this country on a plane before the vaccine had to go to the hotel. You remember all of this? And stay there for 2 weeks?
For 2 weeks.
Fucking goddamn hotel. And I think you had to pay for it. Anyway.
You have to pay for it.
They brought bad food outside the door and left it there for you, whatever. So all that was happening. And in Australia, they had COVID camps. They built camps where people would go. Anybody can look this up. There's videos. There's all there. So this is concerning. When I think about where we almost went, and I'm sorry, I think the Freedom Convoy may have saved this world. Something was happening.
It was great.
Something was happening to the world for sure, and then it stopped. And thank goodness. But these motherfuckers are not finished with us yet. Nope.
Well, this is why it's not only exposing them, David, but maybe inviting them to come and explain to us.
I'll send an email to Elon straight away.
I'm sure he is receiving hundreds of millions of email, of invitation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's quote Philip K. Dick to end. Fake realities will create fake humans, or fake humans will generate fake realities and then sell them to other humans, turning them eventually into forgeries of themselves. So the phrase of my new podcast, the line between man and machine is blurry as we stand here at the Transhuman Crossroads. That's the end. 2 hours right on the nose, Andre. Well done.
Great.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
You're the perfect person for this. Really.
for your first episode.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
All right, man. Whew, I'm gonna let you go and go see what's going on with the chickens and so forth.
Good.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Until next time. Oops. End stream. Oops. Wait. Stay here. Click this button.